Third thing I wanted to touch on today is an announcement. It hasn't passed. It's not something that can be done by executive order. It has to be approved by Congress. But, it was floated and it actually has some bipartisan support to ban institutional investors from purchasing single family homes. And what's interesting about that is if you look at the numbers, it really doesn't on the surface look like a big deal. Institutional investors, so folks that have over 100 properties, that's how they're defining it, actually own only 1% of the homes nationally, which you say, okay, well, then that's not really much of an issue. But if you zoom in, what the problem is you've got certain markets, some of your highest growing markets in the country, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Charlotte, et cetera. And this is coming from the GAO, the Government Accountability Office. The concentration of institutional investors in those markets is upwards of 15%. And so the concern, of course, is, we hear it all the time. There's a housing crisis. There's the inability for people, especially young people, to purchase homes. And so if we have institutions that have basically created this as another asset class and are buying up all the homes, that the theory goes that that's taking away opportunities for other people to be able to purchase homes. Chris, what do you think the initial and then the secondary outcomes of this could be if it were passed? Again, it's something that has to be approved through Congress, but it has support. You have both Trump and Newsom on the same side of this. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, they're all actually talking about this as a positive thing, which we don't see those names grouped together very often. Interestingly, the credit card conversation, Elizabeth Warren also agrees with Donald Trump on that. So very interesting here. But what do you think the primary and secondary effects of this could be?
Oh, the cynical side of me wonders, if the institutional investors limited at 100, if every institution just starts creating organizations that buy up to 99. So there's a piece of me that just wonders if attorneys will get a lot of money creating new LLCs, like that, if that's how it worked. But I do think that for individuals, we do kind of have this system where if I can get access to capital at a lower cost and I can finance things, then I win, right? And for the average person, it does probably feel like rules have changed a little bit, where it's like, man, I work hard, I work full time, I work all this time, and I still can't buy a house. And over here, what I see is an organization that just can somehow get access at a lower cost than me, and now they can get it and I can't. So it is. So I can see why people would support it. I can definitely see why. Hopefully, it would reduce pressure on prices in the exact markets, like you said, because where a lot of the pressure is exactly where a lot of people are going to start careers, or where they're young adults or newly married or whatever. Like, this is where they want to buy a house, and it's exactly where all the pressure is in on the prices. So I think that's good. I do think long term, I wonder, if we have a loose definition of institutional investor, does that just kind of adjust over time? But hopefully what we see is improved affordability. And there's two ways that can happen, right? Either incomes can rise while prices kind of stay stagnant, or prices have to drop. And I think over the last year, in some of the markets, a lot of the markets in the US, we have actually seen prices drop. So, that's already happening, kind of natural market forces a little bit, but maybe the higher interest rates have chased buyers off. Hopefully, initiatives like this would add a little more pressure to at least not allow prices to keep rising so much and much higher than incomes have.
Is there an argument, Chris, for free markets where this could have the opposite unintended consequence?
Well, I don't know how much we've lived in real free markets for a long time, right? So every time we have a major financial crisis and money is handed out, it doesn't appear like there's free markets. Like, organizations are actually allowed to fail if they do things wrong, and winners are always rewarded. Now, there are winners that are like, you look at things that like Tesla and SpaceX are doing, you're like, they are changing the world, fundamentally changing how things work, and they'll be rewarded because that's just winning. But there's a lot of other organizations that don't appear to be winning so much, but somehow always end on the right side of programs or financial help. So I think so it's hard for me to say, let's make a free market argument, when it's hard to feel like there's been a real free market for some time.
Yeah. And I think we see that maybe it's not overt, but policy certainly does create outcomes, whether they're intended or not. And right, we've touched on that on a couple topics. What are the unintended consequences? But just like with credit card interest rates, this could have those unintended consequences, or the policy around who qualifies for home loans and what you can discriminate against and what you can't, and how that comes to be creates headwinds in a true free market where they can decide based on supply and demand, not based on government intervention.